preparing to live stream. We're being live streamed. Got it. Cool. So we'll give people a second to show up. I'm going to jump in my channel and make sure I can find it and turn the volume off.
Yeah, I got to do that quick too.
Yeah, find the chat. We got one watching. Welcome, everyone. We'll take a second to talk about all the weird stuff that's going on in the world. And I have a couple of my own theories, and I've heard a couple of decent theories about what's going on, specifically with like the balloons and the UFOs or whatever. But that's what we're talking about. That and I don't know how much you've heard about the crazy train accident in Ohio. That hasn't been getting nearly enough press. So I want to talk about that too. But we've only got one person right now, so we'll wait a second.
And I will hit the go live.
All right, we got 10 people watching. Nice. That was nice and quick. 5 by 5. Good. Audio is clear. Video is clear. EMPs haven't taken out my internet yet. Yes. Good evening, fellow balloon lovers. Lots of balloon lovers here. I really wanted to make a video like shooting balloons, like go out to the desert and just fill up some balloons and blast them. But I'm worried that would get demonetized now. Cool. DEFCON Doom, we're all going to die. Eventually, no one gets to live forever. We got 20 people watching, so we can go ahead and get started. That's quick. We got a nice, good. I was worried that too many people would be watching the Super Bowl, especially because it's still kind of close game. But I don't really care about the Eagles or the Chiefs. So.
Well, Canadian football is 10 times better. So, I'm just saying.
Why not? But yeah, so we've had a lot of weird stuff going on in the world, starting with a apparently Chinese balloon that we let drag its ball across our entire country for a week before they decided to shoot it down. And I've heard semi-compelling excuses why you might just not want to shoot it down. And sure, those reasons could apply. But the fact that they did eventually shoot it down means that they had determined that it wasn't some sort of, blackmail thing that's like, oh, this is full of anthrax or something along those lines. But I think the main problem is letting it into the airspace in the first place. If you don't know what it is, then that's why you should shoot it down before it crosses it, whether it was in rural Alaska or out by the Aleutian Islands, and then it crossed through Canada first for, in between Alaska and the US. I'm talking about that first balloon.
But of course, you realize that if it was from China, shooting down something that our wonderful, glorious leader, he would not want to shoot it down because he wouldn't want to upset his other supreme overlord leaders. So, of course, let it fly into the States.
That's a real risk. We know they had weird dealings with China. We know there's compromising information out there on Hunter Biden, probably on Joe Biden. So they could certainly be compromised. But, and it could be something as simple as the government didn't want to, they purposely send this over just to see how fast they'll shoot something down, what frequencies we use to communicate, anything. So who knows? Obviously we don't have all the information, but the fact that they did eventually shoot it down means that there probably wasn't a good reason to not shoot it down earlier.
Right.
But then we have a bunch of other supposed sightings of not even necessarily balloons. They haven't said what they are. They're unidentified aerial phenomenon, which they're just apparently shooting down willy-nilly. So there was one in Montana somewhere. They closed down airspace. There was another one up in Alaska, I think. Then there was one just recently in Canada, which the headlines keep saying that Trudeau ordered American pilots to shoot it down, which is that's not really how it works. Yeah. I mean, he could give the authorization for them to shoot down something that's in Canadian airspace, and I'm assuming that's what they mean. But so what's the reporting on that from your side?
Well, first things first. Why would we have our own jet?
Yeah.
Maybe jets. Again, why would Trudeau order American pilots to listen? His wife doesn't even listen to him. Why the fuck do you think?
Yeah, right.
Maybe
American that's why he wanted to see. I can get people to do stuff. And sure,
they listen to me. Look.
Right. I told him to do that.
Yeah, typical.
The missile's already in the air, and he's like, "Go ahead and shoot that down."
Yeah. It's no, I did. I orchestrated
exactly.
that. But it's this one that just I guess over Lake
Huron
there. So
yeah,
it's I don't know. I don't think Trudeau's trying to act tough, but we all know that he's not as tough as he wants to be.
Right.
Again, go ahead.
I was just going to say the weirdest thing about it to me is that obviously the way I view it is that like the fact that they are being so like wishy-washy about it is the weirdest part to me. Like, are they really going to shoot something down that they don't know what it is? Like they don't even know what it is. I seriously doubt it. You know what I mean? Like if they don't even know what this thing is, it could be like one of these dudes in a lawn chair and be like a civilian guy that's floating around up there and they just blow him out of the sky when he because some weather guy got accidentally detached and carried up with it. So I don't believe that they don't know what it is, if there's even anything there to begin with. And I think that if it was legitimately thought to be either an actual like attack by China or if it was actual like extraterrestrials, then we wouldn't hear about it at all. They would just say, oh, we're doing training exercises. They wouldn't even announce that they'd shot anything down.
But so, I remember about 2 years ago, they released all the UFO files and stuff, but there was so much bullshit going on in the world that nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, well, they released like a few files that they, didn't confirm that they were extraterrestrials. It was just like, this is an actual, something happened that we actually don't know what it is what they said. That, again, that doesn't necessarily have to be true, but they wanted us to at least think that there's things out there flying around that the government doesn't know what they are. And that might be the case. It might not. I don't know.
So I guess there's a few things. Like, so when the first one went up, it was, I do believe it was 60,000 feet into the airspace. And higher, I kept thinking to myself, if that thing had some sort of a payload, an EMP over the States, that would fuck up a lot of shit.
Yeah, I looked into that because I was like, my first instinct was it doesn't seem high enough for an EMP, and it's kind of the case at that height. And I think they need to get up to at least a 25 miles to even hit an area of a few hundred miles across for EMP. And for the ones that they could do by satellite, you have to be like 200 to 400 miles up to cover the whole country. So it would still create an EMP at like 80,000 feet, I think, but it would be an area of maybe only like one military base or something like that, or at most one state. So I didn't think that was it, but it could certainly have a nuclear payload. It could shoot up all of a sudden and then detonate from there. You know what I mean? If they can control the altitude. Or my guess is that if it wasn't just them whipping their dick out to be like, haha, you're not going to do anything about it, then it could have been some sort of like either ground penetrating radar. Because the idea of them like trying to take pictures of military bases from a balloon seems kind of trivial. Like those bases have been there for decades. Satellites can do all that. But if they wanted some kind of like either ground penetrating radar or something that was like jamming signals or picking up signals, that might be better suited for balloons. But so who knows? But the one that we know was Chinese, it could be certainly possible. Like, because in a lot of these Asian cultures too, like face and is super important, like how you appear. So something that they might think this is way more embarrassing to us than the US feels like. You're like, oh, you didn't do anything. Oh my God. That's more meaningful to them.
But the fact that some people are saying this is aliens or UFOs, and the way I look at it, if there's a race of super intelligent beings out there that are traveling from solar system to solar system.
You don't necessarily just want to blast them out of the sky.
And then, land on old blue Earth and then all of a sudden get shot down out of the sky by, our basic technology. But, I did a video on TikTok and somebody's like, well, that's how the enemy probes. I'm like, well, yeah, that's like, somebody that's smart enough. It's like throwing an M1 Abrams into a bunch of Zulu warriors. They're not going to take down the tank with a bunch of arrows, right? So
right.
Yeah, so it's not. There's no way it's aliens. But then I'm hearing Project Bluebeam, which is popping up everywhere. And
I seriously don't think it's aliens because, like I said, they're not going to shoot at something that they don't know what it is.
Right.
So if they knew it was aliens and there was a reason to have to shoot at them, we probably just wouldn't be hearing about it.
Well, definitely.
It would be like, oh, we're training, don't worry about it. And then we would all be dead from an intergalactic space beam or whatever. I really don't assume the government would tell the truth when it was something that dramatic. Like if there was, if they had reason to believe that someone had smuggled a nuke into a city or something, they're just not going to tell anyone. They're going to try to find it. They're not going to be like, hey, someone has something in the city that might be dangerous, so keep your eyes open. They're not going to go halfway. Panic. Yeah, don't panic. They're not going to, announce the truth because then everyone would just try to evacuate and everything. So, the two best theories that I've heard so far, and I have a couple of my own too, was I think Chris Martinson from Peak Prosperity said that like this, I think it's very possible that like, we've seen all the press that happened from this Chinese balloon. You can buy 30-foot weather balloons online for like $500. It's certainly possible that a bunch of people are just troll jobbing, just literally filling up balloons and because these recent ones have been much lower, like 40,000 feet, 30,000 feet. And that's one of the reasons why they're supposedly shooting them down, is because they are where commercial air traffic has to go at that altitude. Yeah. So it could be some, trolls who are like, look, I can get the whole media talking about jet scrambled, flight paths shut down just by shooting up a $500 Amazon balloon. You know what I mean? So it could just be trolls.
Before we went live here, I was just somebody sent me a video on TikTok. These guys bought exactly this right. large weather balloon, yeah. and they tied a giant black dildo to it, yes. and stuck it up, and then waited 5 minutes to call the news report. They're like, "Oh yeah, like, tell us all about this."
Right, exactly. So it could be that, and then another one which I think is a really good idea and kind of is probably my current theory about it, is I think it was Canadian Prepper just released a video, and he's saying, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that they're being so vague about it, that just gives them an excuse to do things that you would otherwise have to have a reason. So his theory is that we are, for other reasons, just all the shit that's going on in the world, having to raise our basically our DEFCON level. DEFCON specifically related to nuclear stuff, but just raise our military readiness level to where jets are ready to scramble, people are ready to go at a moment's notice, and they just need an excuse that doesn't make it instantly obvious that we're on like the brink. So they're saying, oh, there's some more things up there. We got to go check these out. So get everybody ready, shut down airspace. Let's get all our pilots ready to go, when really it's for stuff related to the ongoing conflicts. And,
gotcha.
And that makes sense to me.
But, I did a video not too long ago about, with all these distractions coming up, or basically, with the war in Ukraine, Putin said, hey, listen, don't be helping out the Ukraine, because if you do, I will, tie you into,
right. You'll be a combatant aggressor. Too. Yeah.
So all these countries like Canada and the States are given tanks and money and all this stuff. But what's to stop them from turning around and doing something to its own citizens, and blame Putin? Oh, well,
and that's a big risk. I know when one of the, was it Shoigu or one of the guys apparently had meetings with like direct line calls with a bunch of heads of state a few months ago, and reportedly the whole point of that was to say, hey, we've got intel that Ukraine has a dirty bomb, and we think they're going to, and we have reason to believe that they're going to use it in Ukraine, because one little tiny dirty bomb, they can't really do much to Russia with that.
Right.
It would have to get into Russian territory. So it would help their cause more to have it happen in Ukraine and blame it on Russia. And that never materialized. It might still be in their arsenal. Maybe that diffused it, them knowing about it ahead of time. Maybe it was never really true. But that's certainly been something that people have talked about and been concerned about. And I mentioned that on Twitter. I was like, if something about like Ukraine getting a nuke or something. I'm like, man, if they get a nuke, they're more likely to set it off in Ukraine and blame it on Russia in just some remote area, just to like try to galvanize to really commit the world to fighting Russia there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised our own governments trying to do something to its people and blame other countries that that did it, just to get their people online. Like, they've done it in the past, and I'm sure they'll do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think our supreme overlord in Canada would be smart enough to do anything like that. But who knows? Really, he's proving that it takes a monkey to run a country. So it's crazy the amount of stuff that could happen or will happen. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And like I said, the only thing that I'm sure of is that the official story is never the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It doesn't mean that everything they're saying is lying or the truth is the exact opposite or something, but they're always either obfuscating something, hiding something, lying about something. Like, it's never the truth. My theory, I had an initial theory, was because one of the reports was that the one that they shot down, I think it was the Canadian one, described it. One report described it as like the size of a small car, like with some sort of payload like hanging from it. So I was thinking somewhere out there, some cartel is super pissed that the Chinese ruined their gig because they've probably been floating like mad weight across the border for years, and now all of a sudden everyone's like looking for balloons because that's not very big. And like I said, that's you could easily buy these balloons online, and I'm not sure what a balloon that size could carry, but it's certainly going to be in the probably dozens of pounds at least, I would guess.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like the size of a car balloon. So if you could float a few keys across, you know what I mean, of drugs, and pick them up later with a transponder on them or something. Now they're just shooting them down and like, oh
yeah, and all that cocaine is coming
in the
down.
atmosphere. Like, yeah, everyone's like, ah.
People are running everywhere, and it's doing things really, really fast.
Snowing some extra today.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, well, speaking of chemicals raining down, we can move on to the another one of the crazy things is this insane industrial accident in Ohio, which that certainly could be some form of sabotage or terrorist activity too. We know we've had people attacking power grids and stuff, and we know that train derailments do happen, but it's not a very common thing, and this is, I think it's way more serious than most people are letting on. And I've heard reports of people, like reporters even being like arrested, or not even arrested, but detained and like shuttled away from like getting close to the area. But for those of you who don't know, there was an industrial train derailment, like not a passenger train, but just a cargo train that derailed in Ohio, Palestine, Ohio. I'm not sure exactly where that is. It's like an hour north of Pittsburgh or something. But there was like 5 cars of vinyl chloride. It's like a polymer that they use to make PVC or polyvinyl chloride, but it's like a liquid form of it that's apparently shipped. It boils at like really low temperatures, so it'll gas off. So it's shipped in this liquid form, incredibly toxic. So like PVC pipes and stuff is the reason you're never supposed to like burn it, because before it's cured into like an actual plastic, it's an incredibly toxic, super carcinogenic. And all the reports so this thing crashed, spilling everywhere. They're in like obviously like closed, supposed to be pressurized canisters, which have cracked open. So they evacuated people within like a mile, which I don't think is nearly enough. And then the reports I saw, and this is so insane to me, have repeatedly said that they decided to like use shaped charges they thought there was a risk of explosion. So they blew open these things and then purposefully burned off the contents, which is this incredibly tight. Now you see like these videos and pictures of these mushroom clouds of toxic chemicals. Apparently the vinyl chloride, when it reacts to water, is going to create hydrochloric acid, which could potentially like rain down on everyone. So really horrible situation that could render a lot of like farmland around there tainted. Obviously, like I said on Twitter, it shows why you need to have something like gas mask lying around, why even people, no matter what your stance is on bugging out, you've got to have a plan to be able to leave, because there's crazy shit like this that can happen just in a specific area where, yep, there you go, bro. Exactly.
I'm in the bunker, so all this stuff is
readily available,
accessible.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be nuclear war or a super pandemic to have like something that you don't want to breathe or get on your face. And yeah.
And it's funny, it's I try to put videos on TikTok about, hey, this might be coming up, or watch this out. The 15-minute cities was a really good one that has a lot of people's attention. And people are like, why do you worry so much, or why do you live in fear? And it's like, well, I'm not living in fear. I'm actually, I know if something were to happen,
like I'm ready to go. You're the one who should be afraid.
I'll be alive, so I'm not scared of that. But it's funny, people don't realize to prep for anything until it's completely too late. So
yeah, like you can't go now and buy a gas mask. These things have like a 3-week wait on getting them. You have to order this shit now. Link will be in the description.
It's like they'll be running around in N95 masks, and it'll be eating their face off.
Yeah, exactly, melting. Oh
God! At least I'm safe. But
yeah, build your killdozer, as Jason said, and you can get your killdozer shirts at rulethewasteland.com.
Nice. Look at that. Hey, a nice plug.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things, as the guy says.
Yeah, it's trying to get stuff now, or it's like you hear somebody comment on a video. Oh, I'm just getting into prepping, and I don't understand why this stuff is so expensive. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I would rather be spending money now and buying stuff instead of trying to eat paper. You
Yeah,
know,
right. And how
just put a dollar
vindicated,
bill.
and I can't imagine like there's never certainly been any period of time in my life where preparedness and prepping in general has been more vindicated in the past like 3 or 4 years. And we just had another one here. You probably haven't heard about it because it didn't end up being a big deal, but local to me here in Las Vegas, we got some sort of notification went out from news and everything that I didn't know this, but apparently most of the gasoline coming into Vegas is through an actual pipeline. It's not trucked in. And there was a leak in the pipeline that Kinder Morgan, the company, runs. So they said, hey, there's a leak in this pipeline. And they even said, like, we're not expecting it to disrupt the gas, but it's one of those things like, okay, so but we're gonna have to shut it down momentarily to try and fix this leak. And then I have a few gas cans, you know what I mean? So we weren't worried about it. And we were like, oh, we'll go to the grocery store, and on the way back, we might as well top off, but it was already packed, like 50 people at the gas station. So we're like, oh, all right, forget it. We'll just do it later or not do it. I have gas at the house. And
Right.
then I was seeing reports of people like fights at gas stations, people freaking out, and like just people going nuts. And then like it was literally less than 12 hours later, they're like, oh, we fixed it. There's not going to be any concern of shortage. And that was just the idea of there maybe being a shortage. And people are already like getting in fights and panicking. Imagine when people actually are going to have to worry about their lives or like their
Oh,
food.
it's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like,
back in last year, well, I was working out on Vancouver Island, and there was the rainstorms that came in, the atmospheric river, and I was like,
yeah,
hey, talking to the guys at work that had their own vehicles, I'm like, maybe this might be something you guys might want to do to maybe pick up some gas cans or what have you. And because this rainwater is starting to wash out roads and stuff, they're like, no, we'll be fine, and then
yeah.
about 2 or 3 days later, you're allowed 30 liters of fuel, per visit. So guys are like, oh, I had to go to 6 different gas stations to fill up. I'm like, oh shit! If you only would have bought some jerry cans when I told you.
Yeah, exactly. Would have been and we're seeing that over and over again. Where something that is become like so far they've only been like nuisances, like the toilet paper shortages, this gas thing. But they're close to being real issues, and it's turned nuisances into like non-events. And if it was a real event, it would just turn it into a nuisance for us. And how is that? Like, I know I've mentioned this before on here, but how when I was living in Florida, like every year you'd see people freak out about the hurricanes. I was like, you live here, bro. Like, how can you not have done this? Just like, no, this is going to happen every year. Like you're in here freaking out, buying flashlights and candles and shit like every year. Just buy it in the off season.
Yeah, exactly. Or when you go to the store, when you're spending, well, not because of inflation, I was just you're only spending $200, but buy an extra, a flat of water or some batteries or some canned good foods just in case something does happen. And you know what? Great. If nothing happens, well then, now you got some extra food and then you're good to go. But if something happens, at least you're somewhat prepared. But people are like, you're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. You're fear mongering. Well, yeah, I'm not fear mongering. I'm just kind of giving you some hints of what could happen. At least then you'll be, somewhat prepared instead of rushing through the store or, when the great toilet paper shortage happened and people are like, everyone's complaining, wow, I can't buy this because it's all gone. Or, it's like, well, people are telling you on several websites and videos and, I don't follow that stuff because it's fear mongering.
Right.
Oh, cool. So how much stuff do you have? Well, this is bullshit. It's all gone. And all you people are hoarding. It's like, well, no, we're not because we already bought it. It's these other
yeah, exactly. And I mean, I never bought into that anyway. But like, if it comes down to it, even if you are unfortunately in the position where you didn't do what you should and prepared ahead of time, when you find out that there is going to be an issue, you need to go take care of it for yourself, for your family. You know what I mean? Don't listen to the people who saying like, you shouldn't panic buy, you shouldn't hoard, whatever. Do what you need to do. But that becomes a lot easier if you do it ahead of time and a lot more likely to succeed. And like someone mentioned Costco, talking about how crazy and specifically the gas stations were the ones that were the worst were at the Costco's because it's like 15 cents cheaper a gallon or whatever. And when the first pandemic toilet paper stuff started happening, like just not having to go in those lines to go to the grocery store for like a week, that made like all the prepping I've done my entire life worth it.
Oh, exactly.
Just to not have to deal with that bullshit.
Or it's another thing when I don't know if it happened down in the States, but up here, all the banking system went down. You couldn't use debits. You couldn't use your credit card. Yeah, and everyone's complaining. It's like, well, how am I supposed to buy groceries? Well, where's your fucking cash? And then all these other businesses during COVID weren't taking cash because it was dirty money. And, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we can't accept debit. Our debit machines are down. But,
yeah,
it's like, why don't you carry this? Or why don't you have some sort of cash squirreled away in your safe or what have you?
Yeah, even a little bit. Like I'm amazed at how often, like, especially with how often it comes up and how obviously now, especially we're hearing like these entities are putting out like, yeah, we're probably going to have a major cyber attack over the next, like they're setting people up for like, hey, this shit's going to get weird, to not have a few $100s, if not a few thousand, but certainly a few days worth of cash. Because like even the internet going out in a small area, you're not gonna be able to make any purchases by credit card or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And you can warn people till you're blue in the face and they won't listen. It's like I did a thing about 15-minute cities and that got a lot of attention and people were like, oh, well, that's never going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. Just like 2 weeks to flatten the curve. They never said anything about lockdowns or passports.
Yeah, and we haven't had any kind of shortages and outages and anything like that. No toxic waste spills or anything happening. No crazy Chinese incursions.
But yeah, I don't know. It's quite crazy, just the way how things are going. And people just, I don't know. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the message, right? Is that we don't, like, so much weird shit's going on that when this stuff does happen, if it happens, and over the next few years, something's probably going to happen, whether it's a cyber attack. We already see localized power outages because of load shedding, regardless of any of these attacks or anything. But you got to be ready so just get the stuff now, get the gas mask, get the alternate power, get your food, basic stuff. You don't have to go crazy. For a few $1,000, you can be pretty damn squared away.
Yeah, and I think what people are worried about is they think they have to do it all in one shot. Right. It's not something, get a flat of water or go pick up a couple freeze-dried meals at Canadian Tire sells them out here, or any hunting store, hiking store sells them. It's quite amazing the amount of stuff that you can get.
Yeah, and like Jason Schmidt said, he said, I tell people to get groceries for 30 days. If nothing, groceries are the easy one. Food, because it's not even necessarily a wasted cost. If nothing happens, you can always use the food. And I've done videos on how you can get a month's worth of calories for like $100 at Walmart. Not the best food, it's like rice and Spam and chili and stuff, but nothing wrong with it. And you can always use it a little bit slowly. So food is never going to be wasted. Like obviously, if you spend money on a gas mask, you might not ever use that. But if you do need it, like there's nothing else that you can substitute. And like I was saying, like we're seeing these chemical spills here, and go to the link in the description because they have cheaper ones too, which I'm gonna hopefully make a video on, asking to send me one where they made some respirator style ones. So you use the link in the chat or in the description to check. What do you got there?
So this is at our local gun shop, and buddy was selling them for $5, but they're kids masks.
Yeah, exactly. They have, and someone just asked about that, and Mira they have the child ones. They even have like ones that you can put small pets in, like a bag. It's like almost like a little carrier, but it's plastic and it, has the filtered, and they have ones for children. So yeah, the 40mm NATO.
So it's like $5. I was like, why not? I'll buy a couple of them. And then, I'll try it on my kid. And if it fits, well then, hey, at least I have it.
Yeah, I would get filters that are new, but if you can get the masks and the rubber isn't cracked and stuff, most of the time that's going to be good. I wouldn't rely on like Cold War era filters still being good, but the masks themselves, if they haven't
Right.
deteriorated, you should be, decent.
So it's one of those things. At least it's you have it, and you probably won't need it, but
Hopefully.
you have it.
But like I
So-
said, a couple $100 max, if you're getting the brand new ones. And if you need it, man, that's going to seem like the best money you ever spent for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you know what? It's a lot of people think, well, when they go out to buy, or I always like it when they say, "Oh, my freezer's stocked. I have 2 freezers full of food." Well, what happens when the power goes out? So your freezers aren't working.
Right.
So it's probably going to keep stuff cold, a little bit longer and such.
Few days at least, so it's still frozen solid.
I guarantee people will be opening up the thing just to make sure everything's good to go, and you keep opening it up. But I always tell people, throw a couple cases of water in your
Right.
freezer, and then now you got frozen bottles of water that's going to keep stuff cooler longer. And once everything starts to thaw out, now you got bottles of water that's going to help you out.
Yeah, and I have mine are I actually have 2 chest freezers, and my plan is if the power goes out in a way that doesn't destroy, like it's not an EMP that fries the chest freezers, but I can run them off my solar generator. I'll run one and then have jugs in there, and then you can use the other one just as an ice box, as like a fridge. So take the frozen jugs, put them in there, cycle them through, and you have like twice as much capacity for half the power.
I try to stay away from filling a freezer full of stuff, because I always, once the power's out, or my family was, my wife would be going in there all the time, and
Yeah,
daughter be grabbing all the freezy popsicles and shit. Next thing you know, everything's destroyed.
mine is like 100% meat. It's just full of meat.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Because most of it's, for if there's a shortage or a massive price spike, I can just hop in there and eat for a few weeks or more, because I eat a lot of meat, so I don't want to have to just go immediately to like the rice and canned goods if there's any sort of issue. I want to be able to, and it allows me to, disasters aside, it allows me to stock up when stuff's cheap. If I see a sale on the meat, I can get a lot of it then and not have to pay more. So that
I
helps
want
too.
to one day just wake up, shut off all the breakers in the house, and then force feed my family some of my prepper meals, just to see how well they take it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we had Bathsheba says talk about the UFOs. So we did a little bit already, but for those of you who weren't here, because we got about 60 people now, which is cool. I thought maybe we'd get a little fewer because the Super Bowl's still on. But yeah, the UFOs, I think I liked Canadian Prepper's idea that they are most likely just, if it's not invented completely, it's just some balloons, and either the Chinese ones or some people doing pranks, and they are just using it as an excuse to spool up for what they're already spooling up in terms of military preparedness. That's my guess, is that I like that idea. It seems to make sense with everything we're hearing, because their information is so vague. And like I said earlier on, if they really didn't know what we were dealing with, they wouldn't tell us anything. And they probably wouldn't shoot them down to begin with if they didn't even know what it was. So they absolutely, if there's anything there at all, they know what it is. And it does make sense that it would just give them an excuse to get all pilots ready. Like if they're like, we need to go to DEFCON 2 or whatever the non-nuclear equivalent is of just military readiness. And but they didn't want it to just seem like it was out of nowhere and have everyone being like, why is all the military getting really, like cocked and locked right now? So they're just like, we have these weird things floating into airspace. Let's all get ready. And it gives them an excuse, when it's probably more related to the fact that Russia is almost certainly going to be starting some massive offensive soon. China's doing all sorts of weird stuff with floating their balloon over us, shooting lasers down in Hawaii. I don't know if you saw that. Weird stuff.
Wow. And I just want to tell the people that are watching here on TikTok, I can't really see the comments, but if you guys want to go onto YouTube, type in Rule the Wasteland, and you'll be able to see the live chat going on. And then you can ask questions if you want in the chat bar. I'd be more than happy to answer some things, because I imagine I'm probably missing some things here. I don't want to keep looking over like I'm not paying attention to.
Yeah, and for those of you on YouTube, go check out Gray Sox Productions on TikTok if you're into the TikTok side of things.
Follow down the rabbit hole that
I
sometimes go into, which is quite interesting. But there's a whole lot of stuff going on TikTok, and people talking about just like J5PO said, Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, go over that because I'm not super familiar. I've heard of it, know a little bit about it, but I'm not. For those of you who don't know what it is, give us the brief rundown.
So I'll give you the crackerjack version. Basically,
Yeah.
Project Bluebeam is simulate an alien invasion, kind of like
Oh, right, yeah.
the what was that called? The War of the Worlds, buddy, the radio station that did
Yep,
it.
the Orson Welles thing. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was the idea. It was the idea to fake an alien invasion to like for whatever purposes they need, whether that's to like create wartime production or to cover other military movements or whatever, or to galvanize the world into one world government to say, hey, we got to fight this foreign enemy. We have to all unite. We can't be worried about our petty differences anymore, like Independence Day.
Oh yeah, crazy. There's some videos on TikTok right now are showing the how good this the holograms are, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I seen this one. A bunch of whales and dolphins swimming around. It was like the first time I watched Avatar in 3D. And I was just like blown my mind that these things are swimming around, and it's crazy the amount of stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I've seen videos of like they put Arnold's face on everybody, like these deep fakes.
It's amazing what they can do now, and that's what they're showing the public now. I can just imagine the stuff they're hiding in the back waiting for. But
yeah, I mean, because like the technology, like the pinnacle of technology that exists right now is probably 20 years ahead of what we're currently seeing on TikTok and on YouTube and everything. So if they can already do that stuff, like random YouTubers can make these videos, then the stuff that they can, the best technology available is probably pretty insane, pretty scary.
But yeah, it's amazing it's just amazing. Like it also reminds me of that show on Netflix that came out, Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, you're racist if you look up. So everyone's looking down.
Yeah.
So what is the grand scheme? Like I know a lot of people are saying it's they're hiding something that's supposed to happen, just like a lot of stuff that's been going on. So what's happening before our eyes when everyone's looking up in the sky for weather balloons or UFOs? What's actually happening that's so bad?
I mean, I think that like I said, it could just be cover for what they want to do with the military. I think the biggest thing that's happening in the US and Western countries in general is just the continued collapsing economy and, dying US dollar. But specifically, I don't think that's why they're, like Ohio, they're definitely not covering Ohio enough. They're kind of poo-pooing it away, the huge toxic spill over there. But I don't think that specifically is the reason why they are, having this whole UFO thing. But I couldn't say specifically. I do know that I will say, though, that in general, I think people misinterpret the like elites, for lack of better words, ability to spin and try to use anything to their advantage to mean that they planned that or wanted it to happen. You know what I mean? So just because they will always find some way or the best way to make this thing benefit them doesn't necessarily mean that they scripted the entire fucking thing. You know what I mean? So
I've heard a few people saying that the Epstein list is coming out.
That's one I've heard of, but I really think if that was the main reason, I think it would be a lot easier to stop that than it would be to try to fake an alien invasion or something along those lines.
But who knows? Maybe it's something that they need to do to kind of fuck everybody over. But
I would guess, like I said, that it's more about them covering the reasons why they're doing the things that they're doing, and not that it doesn't matter at all. Like I would say that the important thing is what's happening with the jets flying around and everything, but it's just probably not because of what they said. It's probably because of other things that are going on in the U.S. military, of us, maybe realizing that we're 2 seconds to midnight and not 90 seconds to midnight or whatever on the nuclear clock.
The doomsday clock, they moved it up 90 seconds. Who knows, man? It's weird what's going on, and it all. Remember we were talking a couple of weeks ago how it was gradually coming. Well, maybe now gradually isn't fast enough, so they have to come up with something really far off the right deep end to really get it to go.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? Or it could be the stuff's already happening, like you're saying, and they just don't want to, they're covering up why they're doing this stuff. It's hard to say. The only thing you can do is try to get ahead of it, and you don't have to know exactly what's going to happen to do that. That's the good thing. because so much of the preparedness stuff covers most scenarios. You know, like the gas mask that I was talking about. This doesn't matter if it's a nuclear attack, doesn't matter if it's the Ohio train spill, doesn't matter if it's the ATF shooting tear gas in your windows or whatever. Like it works for all of it. So
I like how you keep doing this. Are you promoting the?
Yeah, I've got an affiliate. I just like these. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I do have an affiliate link, which is in the chat, and I will put it in the description.
Perfect.
But it's just one of the things that I mentioned repeatedly because it's something that a lot of people don't get. And right now, because of everything that's going on in the world, there's a significant delay in getting them in most places. Not like months, but it might be 4 to 6 weeks after you place the order. So if you're thinking about it, that's one of the things I wouldn't wait on because you're going to be waiting anyway. And once things start to escalate, that 6 months or that 6 weeks will become not available at all.
Yeah, well,
at any price.
There's quite a lot of supply shortages going on already. So who knows what's happening? But do you guys have Princess Auto down there?
I know the company. Yeah, I don't know how widespread they are, but.
So in Canada, we have Princess Auto, and it is amazing little store. It's like Costco. You go in to buy one thing, and $600 later. But they do have those masks in Princess Auto.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have this is a Mira mask, and that's who my affiliate link is. But they are not the only company. I mean, like they.
Oh, definitely.
I just know they're legit. So
how much would that mask be down in the States?
This one, let me see. I think there are a couple different ones. They're around $250 for the brand new CRBN mask, $250 to $280. There's a couple different versions. There's this one. There's the one that has like yours with the more tactical, so you can get the rifle more eye relief. But they're also coming out with a new one that is like a respirator, so it's not the full face, but it still takes. It's kind of like the one you would use for painting or whatever, but it still takes the 40-millimeter filters, so you can get you can still get a CBRN filter. And that's only like $40 for that mask because literally it's but it doesn't cover your eyes. So for some things it would be great. For a real full-on chemical attack, you wouldn't necessarily be useful. But for nuclear stuff where you just don't want to breathe the dust, for some sort of like 9/11 type situation where it's just clouds of dust and smoke for this Ohio thing, it would help you a lot. So still better than nothing, that's for sure. And it's a lot smaller, and cheaper.
The mouth over this or the
a wet t-shirt, and you could still get goggles or something if you needed to and have somewhat of protection for a hell of a lot cheaper. So I asked them to send me one of those, and I'll hopefully make a video on that because the price point makes it a lot more available for most people.
I really like the fact that you're getting all these cool things. I hope one day
I try.
I can get some. I'll try this stuff in Canada and
send them an email, find something and give them show them your TikTok and say this is how many views I get per video. I'll make 4 videos about it over the course of a month. And
definitely.
That's how I've always, some people contact me, but a lot of times I'll say because I don't want to just promote some random thing. Right. I want to go find the stuff that I want and that I would buy anyway, and then see if they'll.
I did the same thing with the Jace case. Once you
exactly.
I quickly emailed them, and it was, and then I showed that Jace case to a doctor friend of mine. He's like, "Wow, this is amazing! Like, how did you get this stuff?" And it's like,
and we're seeing a lot of amoxicillin shortages right now and antibiotic shortages.
Right.
So that's like a huge benefit to have that thing. So the Jace case, the mask, if you have like any sort of bulletproof vest or protection, if you think that would be a concern for you. I know it's a little more controlled for you guys up there, right? You have to have like a license or something. Yeah,
definitely. You know what? I think if anybody out there wants me to do night vision goggles, I'd be more than happy to.
Dude, I would love to get some NVGs, but I think that's a little bit more expensive.
Right.
They're a few grand, but yeah, that's what's on my list for one day.
Well, my this one here. Oh, everything's so dark. Where is it?
Perfect time for night vision.
Yeah. If only I had my night vision working. So I picked up this guy here.
Awesome.
So this is a white phosphorus NVG. I got it at a place called Cold Harbor Supply out of Toronto, Ontario. But this cost me, I think, I got to say it low because my wife might be listening. Yeah. But I paid about $4,200 Canadian for this.
Yeah.
But again, night vision.
Huge advantage. Yeah. I mean, like if we were really in a grid down scenario, that would be like a total game changer.
Oh,
it would turn you into a superhero compared to people who didn't have it.
Well, exactly. I had people, trying to focus,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You shine your flashlight, and
Yeah.
and
Right.
yeah, it's I think just having, and you know what, the reason I got it is because I like doing night hikes, and
Right.
you have to see at nighttime.
Exactly. Don't want to fall into a precipice.
Well, that's right. It's a great thing to have, just in case. But yeah, it's good to have it. Just like a lot of stuff that is
Right.
out there, and
Exactly. And that's what you need to do. That's what it's all about. It's not to just freak out and watch videos on YouTube all day about it. You got to use the information to prepare. That's why we're here.
That's another thing. There's so many things out there that people are saying, oh, you got to do this or you got to do that. You know, some videos they're always like, oh, it's going to be the end of the world tomorrow. Well, it's not, but it's
right.
you have time to do stuff. It's just form your own opinion. You know, watch videos on TikTok or watch videos on YouTube to kind of give you the idea of what, oh, this is probably going to work here for me. Or there's so many things that are out there that people don't know about, like this Project Bluebeam. Well, I heard about it, a couple years ago, but never really thought about it. But then I was like, oh shit, and then I started doing some more research and checking, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's like one of those like Operation Northwoods or whatever. It's like proposed ideas that they may or may not ever use, but
right.
But what do you? So post in the chat what you guys think the UFO/balloon shit is, because I've given my a couple possibilities, but there's like an endless amount of shit that could be going on.
Yeah, and I'll check what guys are saying here, and
yeah, see what the TikTok
good old
crowd.
tickety talk.
Right. And the Chiefs are back in the lead if you guys care about the Super Bowl. Pretty high scoring game, 27-35. I need them to get 38 and then end the quarter, because I'm in Super Bowl squares. I got 7 and 8. So I need the Eagles have the 7 and I need Kansas City to get the 8. So they need to get a kick, one more kick, and then nobody score. And I'll win some money.
I got a lot of people that on here, they just say that you never trust what's on what is being told, unless you're seeing it with your own eyes. Like, don't trust the news. The news is
and that's kind of what I said earlier. Like, we don't know exactly what is true, but we know that the official story is never the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Elements of it might be true. The general idea may be true, or it may be completely false, but it's never just the truth and nothing but the truth.
In Canada, our glorious Supreme Overlord, he gave the news media's $600 million. So, they're not, I don't know, it's like in the States, or if it's like CNN or what have you. But, when you give that amount of money to a news source, they're going to push the narrative the way you want it. So you can't trust the news. You got to see with your own two eyes, or watch videos that are being posted online, or there's some sites where it is no filtered situations. People are just, they got their cell phones, they're showing it, it's unedited, and that's when you can kind of get your information.
Right, you see like a totality of info and not just like one source.
Yeah,
try to believe it.
It's just like the news. Is your Cocker Spaniel trying to kill you? More news at 6 p.m. tonight. It's like, oh shit, fuck! I got 4 hours to see if this Cocker Spaniel's
right. Yeah, I gotta wait and come back in 4 hours.
It's garbage, man. It's like you have to see what's happening live, or happening in front of you to see what's happening.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. Wild times. Since we're at we're at 50 minutes already, so
okay,
we can just go for a few more minutes. But if you guys have any other last minute questions, post them in the chat. Appreciate you guys all coming by.
Yeah,
it's Super Bowl Sunday. So and just get ready, get your basic shit squared away.
Don't look up. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Someone says paradigm shifting vehicles of various geometric shapes yeah, lots of weird info coming out. We don't know exactly what parts of them are true or not. So very shady, very weird. We just know that things are unstable in the worldwide arena. But yeah, so just try not to make assumptions, like Shrek PMC says. Like, the less your decision relies on something specific being true, the better off you're probably going to be, because especially timelines, I've talked about that before. Just focus on general preparedness, and if you see something that is actual evidence of one particular thing, you can adjust. But don't just try to chase what ifs. So
Mark Olson, is that a Doctor Who reference, or what's going on?
the balloons being bigger on the inside, though, you mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and as Katie says, no matter what, we know they're up to something we won't like. Yeah, we know they're not out there like making our lives better. Let's put it that way. So just make sure your preps are squared away. But yeah, thanks for coming by, everybody. Check out Gray Sox Productions on TikTok. And I don't know when we're going to do the next one. I wasn't actually planning on doing one tonight. That's why Shay couldn't come by. He wasn't available. But I was like, there's too much weird shit going on. We got to do something. So he'll hopefully be back too on the next one. So
let's hope we're all here for
right. We don't get EMP'd or whatever. So,
man,
but yeah. But thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch you in a week or two. I'm gone next week. I'm out of town, so
okay.
Maybe the week after that. Maybe we'll see.
2 weeks.